Mr. Bingham, you go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Over the past year, we've heard a great deal, I know even throughout the campaign for state superintendent, about teacher salary schedules. Currently, they're capped out at 22. We haven't had a teacher pay raise in a while. And as a result, those teachers 22 years and over oftentimes don't get the step increase or any adjustment for living. And with the changes to the some of the retirement system benefits, oftentimes their benefits are coming out, so each year they're drawing less and less. As a result of that, we're just asking for the State Department to convene the stakeholders together to look at our teacher salary schedule. We've also heard a great deal from the governor and others about the low-end starting salary schedule for our teachers. And so this doesn't do anything directly, but it does have them study the issue and make a recommendation back to us on ways to improve our teacher salary schedule and how that could be implemented in the coming years. So I'd ask for adoption.
Any questions? All in favor of adopting Amendment 29 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Amendment 29 is adopted. Next is Amendment 30. Mr. Bingham. Which brings us back to the amendment we passed over, which is Amendment number 27 by Mrs. Cobb Hunter.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment, Mr. Chair and members, is creating a compensation system study committee. Mr. Bingham just talked to y'all about the salary schedule study that is being done for teachers. And what I think has happened over the years, probably inadvertently and certainly not intentionally, is that state employees, just regular frontline state employees, have been left out in the cold when it comes to adequate compensation. Particularly those workers who are under $25,000, under $50,000. You trying to see what I'm looking at? I'm just in general, ain't nobody in particular. Yeah, I'm good. So, Mr. Chair, what this does, we've had in the governor's budget, there was a request for monies for law enforcement officers, and all of us appreciate the job that our public safety officers do in keeping us safe and protecting us. There have been incremental raises for teachers and all kinds of other state employees. But I think it's instructive for us to remember that the current compensation schedule was done when the minimum wage was $4.25 an hour. This is the 21st century, 2015, and it is time for us to really show our state employees that we appreciate them and the work they do by looking at these issues that are identified in this proviso. And what the study will do, if this passes and it remains in the budget, is look at determine position classifications, set pay grade minimum, midpoint, and maximum. Some of you may have gotten the email from an employee at MUSC who talked about how difficult it is to retain employees because you're bringing people in at the minimum that wind up making more than somebody who's been there for a very long time. The system that we have in place does not, in my view, adequately compensate state employees who've been around for a long time and who have trained people and just have not seen the kind of wages and the kind of pay that they ought to. Mr. Chair and members, this also is becoming a problem with the state competing with the private sector. Because our pay system, our pay scale, our compensation scale is so outdated and so out of whack, what we're doing in a lot of agencies and a lot of instances, DHEC comes to mind, is losing state employees to the private sector because they can make more. So what this is doing is simply calling for a study. I believe it is an excellent way, a step toward letting our state employees know that we value them and appreciate all the hard work that they've done. And Mr. Chair and members, I just know that when we pass this and we add that 5% raise along with this, that we will have some very happy state employees out there, and I just know you all are going to go with the 5% along with the study, because you know you can study something forever. We like to study stuff, but for our state employees, I think their message to us is we've been patient. Y'all have told us wait until there are better times. We've waited. Times have gotten better. We've seen all kinds of people get all kinds of tax breaks. We're now about to see Mr. Simrall take half the money we got and put it on roads because y'all don't want to tax anybody. But these state employees are going to be the ones out there fixing these roads and doing all this work. So, Mr. Chair and members, I would ask you to please adopt this study committee. And then at the appropriate time when we start talking numbers, I'm going to ask this committee to do something that it has done in the past, and that is give state employees raises. But I would ask the committee to look at giving at least a minimum of 5% to our hardworking, Mr. Merrill, state employees. You know, all of them aren't as blessed and highly favored as you are. They don't have that six-figure income, you know? With that, Mr. Chair, unless there are any questions, I would move adoption.
I think Representative Pitts has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Cobb Hunter, do you know if the state has done a study of any kind previously on this? I know the Hay Group has done studies on agency heads, for instance, and on the 3 branches of government. Both of those were done in the one on the 3 branches was done in '07. The last Hay study on agency heads was just completed. Do you know if the state has done one on state employees across the board?
Mr. Pitts, it's my understanding that that has not been done across the board. And you talked about agency heads. What this will focus on are those low-level employees who are not agency heads. You know, the ones who really do the work, who make us look good, and who make things run on time. These are the workers that would be identified. People like not our Ways and Means staff, because they do pretty good compared to state employees. But you know, the little people who do all the work, this would help them tremendously.
I think Representative Merle Smith has a question.
Mr. Cobb Hunter, I may have not heard you when you were talking about this, but looking in this, it says that the Human Resource Division will contract with a vendor. I presume you're going to do an RFP to study the salaries of this. How much is that going to cost? Do you have any idea?
Mr. Smith, there was information that we got initially when we worked on this proposal. What are we calling the Budget and Control Board now? Whatever they are.
I think they're still the Budget and Control Board right now. They're
Those
not quite
Successor
faded to
entity.
history yet.
Okay. So we had information from them, quite frankly, that I thought was a bit specious in its, well, let me just say, there was an estimate from HR that they could not do this, and that it would cost over $700,000 to do what we have outlined here. And with all due respect to that office, I just quite frankly don't believe that. And I think that it may have been more of that agency not wanting to conduct the work as opposed to the cost. Now, Mr. Pitt mentioned the Hay Group, and they've done a study. What we intend to do here is, first and foremost, abide by the procurement policies. And so this would be out for competitive bid and all of that. But the way we've gotten it written is that a combination of existing staff, both Senate Finance and Ways and Means, along with HR, would be able to accomplish what we're asking for in this study.
Yes, ma'am. And when I read this, it just says that the Department of Administration shall, which means you have to, contract with a vendor. So, I mean, it certainly doesn't choose a vendor, but you put out an RFP.
Right.
You have to enter into it. You have to have that vendor study those 8 subsections you have in
Right.
there. So I just am concerned about, is there a physical impact of this, and are we covering that in the budget? Who's, Mr. Herb Kurzman have Department of
and
Administration?
Mr. Herb
He's
Kirschman
not
does.
paying much attention over
Well,
there.
but his staff is. His staff is, Mr. And Ms. Smith, you know, I thought when Mr. Herb Kirschman became a budget subcommittee chair, y'all would stop picking on him, Mr. Smith.
Never
But
gonna happen.
Never gonna happen?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
But I
Well,
will say, let me tell you this, is it's been a lot more work having to, not having him on my subcommittee now, because he did all the heavy
I
lifting
tried
the
to get-
years past.
okay. So in response to your question, Mr. Smith, the original way the amendment was written had a $700,000 fiscal impact according to HR. We changed that, and it's my understanding from the staff that this does not have a fiscal impact. Now, it's my understanding. I could not be, it could be that I'm not clear. Is it your understanding, Bly?
Yeah.
Well, and on the shall part, all it's saying is you put out an RFP. And so what, from my limited thinking, this not being my lane, Mr. Chair, it's, you know, it's not my area of expertise, but if you've got this office and a part of what they do is RFPs, put out procurement, MMO or whatever they're called, I don't see how this would be any different.
The
And-
only concern, just to say, is it doesn't say shall put out an RFP. We did that with the mental health and the violent sexual predators, which said you can issue the RFP, but you don't have to enter into anything. And
Okay.
it's taken to the second where it says shall contract with a vendor. So that
So
means-
would it make you feel better, Mr. Smith, or would it address your concern if rather than shall contract, we change that language to say division shall put out an RFP?
I think that would save the fiscal impact of it, or alternatively, Mr. Herb Kurzman would appropriate you your $700,000.
That won't happen. Nah, that's not gonna happen. Mr. Chair, could I ask unanimous consent to change this first line to save some paper so that we
So
don't
you're
have to
asking for
redo
unanimous
this?
consent to change a word,
2 words.
2 words.
Yes,
from
sir.
the words contract.
Delete contract, and that would read, shall put out, you know, I don't think that's how they say it, put out an RFP. I don't know what
Issue.
the, issue. Yeah, we would delete contract and say issue an RFP for. Does that make sense? Shall issue an RF. Who, Gary? Child, you know, what can I say about Gary Simrall? That has not already been said. Why are you talking about me? I'm trying to help state employees. Huh? That's Merle Stern, right? He's a Stern. Merle, you wrong.
Issue.
So does that help? Well, if it ain't sealing the deal, why don't we change it? I mean, come on. You're a moving target. And Mr. Chair, as we work through this language, I would remind this committee that state employees have really, really been, we need to at least give them an olive branch and say, we appreciate all that they've done, guys, seriously. Are you rewriting the whole thing? What you doing?
I'm just trying to work it out for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So should I,
You're striking
Mr.
actually
Smith
3
and
words.
I and Mr. Yes, sir.
But then I got
What
some
other
questions
words
for
you
you when we get
struck?
through with him. All right. I think Ms. Cobb Hunter is asking for unanimous consent to strike the words on line 2, contract with a vendor, replace that with issue an RFP. So it'll read, the Department of Administration Human Resources Division shall issue an RFP to conduct an in-depth study of the state's classification and compensation system.
Right, I'm good with that. You good with
Is there any objections? Hear none,
that?
so
So you set
ordered.
me up for the fall, right? That's what y'all doing, you know. Oh, no, 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 no.
Ms. Cobb? Okay, that's fine. I got a question. We may need another unanimous consent. Where we got now here with the vendor must have prior experience with the state's compensation system. Is that our state's compensation system or just?
Yes, the South Carolina is what we meant. Blythe was working under pressure, Mr. Chairman, and the intent was South Carolina. And Blythe and Deborah, our trustee amendment person,
They're
has
very
just
good.
been, they are excellent working with us at the last minute under pressure. And our intent, was South Carolina, right, Blythe? Yes, sir, our intent was
Do
that
we
it,
know how many that would be?
it's pressed in. That's why we say it was South Carolina experience, because of what Mike. And, Mr. Chair, as you continue to weave through that language, I want to remind Mr. Herb Kirschman that he is the chair of that subcommittee, not Jimmy Merrill. Don't let him corrupt you, Mr. Herb Kirschman. You let him know who's in charge. Yeah, he's trying to run 2 committees. Don't let him do it.
I think then you have the vendor must have prior experience with. Well, we got a few more.
Mr. Chair, I move that we carry this over.
Ms. Cobb Hunter moves to carry over Amendment 27. So ordered. Brings us back, I think we're doing 27 substitute.
Yes, sir.
And Ms. Cobb Hunter, we've seen this. You want to explain the changes?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All this did, Mr. Chair, is clean up the language a bit as far as issuing an RFP. It changed the makeup of the committee and deleted the State Employees Association. And that's basically what it did.
Did y'all hear that?
I move adoption.
Ms. Cobb Hunter moves for adoption of Amendment 27 substitute. All in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, you got a question, Bill? Oh, Bill's got a question. Sorry, Bill.
No, it's not.
He was poking him. Go
Well,
ahead.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'd like to thank Mr. Smith right here for the compliment I got on his committee, and maybe also compliment him on his tie. I'm sure his grandfather got a lot of compliments on it too.
Ouch.
And Ms. Cobb Hunter, I just have a couple
Is this
questions. for
Chip Lomhouse or Bill Herb Kurzman?
Yeah,
Mr. Smith, I'm trying to compliment you, sir.
yeah. The hour's late. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you.
I'm gonna help him out. Stick to the amendment.
Ms. Cobb Hunter, thank you. Ms. Cobb Hunter, there's no question that some kind of study or some kind of a finding needs to be done on this. When you have employees that are making $15,000 a year, they're probably at or below or just above the poverty line. But And I had conversations with Mr. Washington on this, and we came to the part of the budget, and we do know that the Budget Control Board, with its current staff, cannot do this study. And the amount of money that we had for the budget on that was between 100 and 200 and climbing, 100,000 and 200,000 and climbing. I think we kind of need to get a kind of a grasp of our arms around exactly what it's going to cost. But some of the other components on this that I talked about with Mr. Washington that are not on this, and I do see that you've worded this to be the study shall include but not be limited to, are the other components are maybe duplicity in some of the positions that we have, and a way to eliminate that duplicity and maybe use some of that funding to fund any increases that the findings that the study committee would find on this. Also, the equitable, maybe non-scale pay on this, which I think is extremely important. And what I mean by that is when you have two employees that start on the same day and 10 years later, they're both making the same amount, one could really outwork the other one, but they're making the same amount. I think there's got to be an equitable non-pay scale on how we treat the employees who are really excelling. And I think that's just critical. I mean, I think that's just it shows for innovation and it shows for determination in some of the employees. And I think it's something we should include on this. And just let me finish. And also, if we could also include in this, and I know this is a work in progress, but also include in this maybe the state and private comparisons, other state comparisons and private comparisons on how many personnel it takes to do a job, but also what the pay scale is on a private, so that we can actually be more competitive. Because I do know that in some of the budget deliberations, and when I was serving with Mr. Smith, we're losing people like guardian ad litems and all that to the private sector because we don't have an equitable pay scale on that. And so it's more of a statement and some questions in there.
Thank you, Mr. Herb Kirschman. I appreciate those questions, and let me see if I can respond to them. As far as the duplications, and I'm looking at this, I would imagine that, number one, develop and determine position classifications, or recruitment and retention. I mean, there are a couple of these pieces that I think respond to your point. Specifically on the one, look at number 4, your point about somebody who comes in day one making the same as somebody who's been there for 10 years. Number 4, methods to minimize salary inequities within an agency, and as well as the retention piece, a process to number 7. Would you look at number 7 and see if that addresses your concern?
To some extent, I think it would, but to others, I think we have to recognize that we do have, there's no question, we do have outstanding employees, and I think to compare some of those with the ones that are not outstanding and it be on the same pay scale, that's not equitable.
Right. And Mr. Herb Kirschman, I don't disagree with you, and I believe the association probably would agree with you. I would just point out that while we talk about the cost of this, that we need to keep that in mind as we talk about adding to the things that the study would look at. The other part of it is, while it is accurate to say that the Department of Administration does not have a capacity to do this, that's why we added Senate Finance, House Ways and Means to some extent. But again, I would just encourage us to look at this as a way of saying to state employees, we recognize that we have not addressed the step, we don't have a step system in effect for state employees. The chairman mentioned teachers and law enforcement. Well, teachers have a step system. Our state employees don't. And I'm just really concerned that state employees who've been here for a very long time, who've been doing this. Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that you cut me off. I believe, okay. Anyway, so Mr. Herb Kirschman, I think there are opportunities for us to address some of the concerns that you've identified. I would ask if we could just move this forward and perhaps between the time the budget gets to the floor, we've had an opportunity to talk with Department of Administration, to talk with the State Employees Association. What I've found is that the association has been very willing to compromise and accommodate. I mean, it was a pretty tough pill for them to give up representation on a committee that is supposedly studying their pay. And so I want to be careful that in crafting this, that all of the give is not on the part of the state employees, but that we recognize our responsibility to at least look at the issue of pay and retention, and just try to at least study it. I mean, I don't know, we like studying stuff. I'm not sure what the problem is.
Ms. Cobb Hunter, I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. And we see that we're losing some of our good employees. And I think those folks need to be treated the way we'd want to be treated.
Yes, sir.
You know, there's-
So you move adoption.
Hey, Chairman, move for adoption.
Representative Merrill has a question. I think the love.
Is it a serious question?
I think it is.
Oh, Lord,
So
go
ho-
ahead.
How much do these vendors normally cost to conduct these things? So do you have a ballpark figure for us?
The information I have about how much it costs from the studies, Mr. Merrill, that Mr. Smith mentioned was $200,000.
So we're gonna pay $200,000 for these dudes to come in and conduct a study that basically bashes us saying we ain't paying them enough. Is that
Well,
what it
I
is?
wouldn't, Mr. Merrill, one of the things I would caution us about is automatically assuming what the study will say. I don't agree that the study will necessarily bash us. I don't think that is the intent here. And I would encourage us not to be so sensitive when it comes to people bashing us. You know, this comes with the territory. You know, you gotta have a thick skin if you're in public office. So people bashing us, quite frankly, in my view, is gonna be appropriate. In
So
this
you do
instance,
think they're gonna bash
no,
us?
no,
Well, you just
no,
said they
no,
weren't,
no.
so they are,
I'm
clearly.
saying that I think what we need to do is just give them a chance to look at the issue, bring the recommendations back to us. We take those recommendations and, if possible, fit them into our budget work over the next couple of years so that we aren't underpaying and undervaluing our state employees.
I mean, Mr. Washington last year had all sorts of data that provided comparable stuff. Why couldn't we just utilize that?
I don't know what data Mr. Washington had last year.
He's got tons of data that accomplished this exact same thing that we're trying to get the taxpayers to pay $250,000.
Well, Mr. Merrill, I just find it very hard to believe that Mr. Washington would have tons of data that is doing what this proviso is doing, and that Mr. Washington would be asking taxpayers to pay $200,000.
I know, he got you to ask instead.
No, well, keep in mind now, the $200,000 is my figure. I don't have any guarantee. I try to stay in my lane, so this is not something that I do. So, and I would remind you, Mr. Merrill, that this line of questioning from you is standing between us and getting out of here. Could you just hold your whatever?
Now you're hitting a soft spot.
Yeah, it's between you and a glass of red wine.
But I will tell you this, Mr. Washington, Carlton, every time there's been data I didn't even want to see that he seems to be able to produce at the drop of a hat. So us going and paying for more data to once again just beat the living crud out of us just seems like a really bad idea.
And, Mr. Chair, my final point on this is, with all due respect to my subcommittee chairman, I just really think it is totally unfair and inappropriate for the two of us to sit here talking about the executive director of the State Employees Association when he is not able to take that podium and defend himself. So, see, there's no way we know that what Mr. Merrill is saying about Mr. Washington and his data is accurate.
Ms. Cobb,
You know,
we have talked about many people today who were not able to take the podium and
Yeah, but
defend
this
themselves.
is different. Yeah, well, they didn't want to take the podium, but we at the
Okay.
end. But
All right, you
just
wanna
let
end
it go.
now?
Yeah, just
Yeah, okay, let's just stop.
Please, let's go.
And any further questions? I have one, I gotta ask it, I just got to. Is it, obviously we're gonna pay for a study, but is there anything in here that actually says we have to do anything about it? I
That
mean, other
should
than
give
waste-
y'all
other
real
than waste-
comfort.
I think other than like Mr. Mayor, like waste money on a study, but anyway.
Well, now y'all don't want me to start talking about money y'all have wasted on studies. It's a study committee.
Yeah, I like Mr. Thompson, but,
And that means.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, there is you know us, we study until we study and can study no more.
Right.
So there is a study committee in this proviso that will study the findings
I know.
of the crew.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I asked you to actually remove the state employees, and you did, and I appreciate
Yes,
that.
sir, I was trying to accommodate you, and I want to thank the association for being willing to give up representation. Taxation without representation, they
right.
said, okay.
I think he asked for a
Gary,
motion.
do
You
you
want-
have to?
You got a comment, or
You're not going to
Representative
table
Smith.
it, are you? Gary. Yeah. If there is data that Mr. Washington and others had that would answer some of these questions, yes, probably taking utilize that instead of actually paying for a study. That's exactly right, Mr. Smith. You've got it.
all right. Yeah.
She's complimenting him, he's complimenting her.
Yeah. Mr. Simmer was gonna have a motion to table amendment
Miss-
27 substitute.
Ms. Cobb Hunter, I had a motion to table, but after watching you and Mr. Smith come together, there's no way I can do it now, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I move adoption.
All right. Mrs. Cobb Hunter moves for adoption of amendment 27 substitute. All in favor? Easy, girl. Signify by saying aye. All opposed? I don't know. Y'all want a division? Y'all want a division? All right. All right, we got a division. What? Yeah, I think Mr. Pitts already has. It's ordered, so. You got? Division, just raise your, all in favor, raise your hand. All in favor,
Merle, you've been over there stirring all day, Merle.
all right, you got it? Got 5, 7. All right, all opposed?
Lonnie, you opposed to it?
I can count. That is more than 7. 7 were for and 13 against. So by 13 to 7, the amendment fails.
Mr. Chair, let me just say that if y'all were going to not do this, it would have saved all of us a lot of time and paper for you to have not not done the charade that we just went through. And let me just say on a very serious note, you know, even in some of these small places, they have technology and they are watching you. And I hope that they are in touch with each and every one of you who voted not to even study the issue of state employee pay. I just don't get y'all. I really don't. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Hang on, we're doing, just hang on a second. We're just at ease. We got an option.
Are we still on 27?
No, that's not an option. That study sailed. We can either come back, break out, come back tonight. We need about an hour or so, or we can come back at 9 in the morning and and then break out into our subcommittees to adopt numbers, then come back immediately after session and present the numbers at the full committee, adopt those, and do the conforming amendments, provisos at that point in time. No, I think we can get it all done tomorrow. It may be a longer day tomorrow afternoon versus leaving, because we're gonna need about an hour to hour and a half tonight to get some stuff. So I was gonna have you back in here by about 8:30, 8:45, and then break out. Well, we gotta have time with the staff to get some stuff together and then get printed. We kinda got one copier, so we need about an hour to hour and 10 minutes. Representative Hosey?
Chairman, can I make a motion that we come in at 9 tomorrow morning?
Does everybody want to just come in at 9 in the morning? But we need to be here ready to go at 9. We don't need to come in at, yeah. I know. I know, he stops by some place down there and sees Representative Gambrell's cousin too. Yes, Clemens? No. And you'll understand tomorrow. So everybody wants to come in 9, 8:30, y'all, 8:30 or 9? 9, all right. Gilda said she's not talking, so we're staying and we're gonna work all night, because Gilda's not talking.
She said you people, I don't know who she's talking about.
Yes, Representative Smith. Yeah, that turned the tide. Gilda's not talking. We can get done in a hurry.
Gilda, you better tell him you reserve the right to change your mind about not
I
talking.
reserve, listen, if we stay here, let me just say this, y'all. If we stay here, I'm talking. I don't care what it is. I've got an opinion on it, and I will feel free to share it, and share it, and share it.
Share some more.
So it's your
That is one of the few buttons that actually works on this thing, is to cut your microphone off.
Y'all see what he did? He turned my mic off. Y'all know this is wrong. Y'all know, you see that?
Because all those mics are out down there, and they don't, the little panel up here doesn't light up whenever you're speaking. But the one that clears your mics actually works. So, will you not speak? All right, we'll recede till if we finish tonight, it'll be fairly late, which I'm good with. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up. Duke and Carolina playing tonight? All right, does everybody really want to come back tonight? I'm getting thumbs and I'm getting no's.
Why don't we have a division?
Under some of my better judgment, we'll recede to 8:45 in the morning. In the morning.